With the rivet holes riveted and sealed after removing the bench seat, it's time to do a water test. This will give us an idea on what is leaking. Hopefully nothing, but we'll see. And then what we need to do to get this ready for paint. So I'm gonna go ahead and fill this up and see what leaked. All right, the boat's filling up. I mean, so far so good. I haven't noticed any leaks, but on the previous hull I did this with, it took a little while for the water to start seeping through. The only place I have a leak is my drain plug, because I don't have a drain plug and I just stuffed it with a rubber glove. So I'm gonna let this fill up a little bit more, and then we're just gonna let it sit and come back and check the rivets. Starting it from the front so it goes and hits all the rivets on the way. And I have it on shooting up also, just to double check these front rivets. All right, we'll check back soon. All right, so an update on the leak testing. I found tiny leaks. Most of them didn't even leak enough to produce a droplet. It was just mildly wet around the rivet. I am currently grinding and cleaning the paint off all the rivets, and then I'm going to seal them with STEELFLEX. The cool thing is that all the rivets that I added, no problems. All right, guys, so the plan for today is to strip the paint off the outside of the boat. I'm gonna be focusing on the bottom. I already went through and cleaned up all the rivets with a wire cut brush. That way I can just focus on sanding all of the larger spots. I'm not gonna be going to the bare aluminum unless I have to. This is the original paint, which is adhered still really well. I'm gonna get this all sanded down and ready for painting. So a few last minutes of prep. I just went through with a partner and we rebucked all the rivets. I held a sledgehammer under it and they came behind me and tapped it with a hammer. Now I'm doing my last step here. I'm gonna spray this down with vinegar, let it sit for a second to etch it, and then I'm gonna wipe it down, and then we're gonna mix our epoxy and pour it. The idea is to bring it up to this set of rivets here. Hopefully we'll be able to stretch it enough. It's gonna be a little over the 30 feet they say it does, but hopefully it won't be too bad. Okay, the whole thing's been saturated with vinegar. I'm gonna let it sit for a moment, let it etch, and then I'm gonna wipe it down and we're gonna get ready for pouring. We're going to be mixing part 2 with the pigment. Then we're gonna mix part 1 into part 2 to activate the epoxy. So part 2 is going in the bucket. Part 2 is in. Now we're gonna mix the pigment. I'm using white. Okay, white pigment's going in. It says add the entire 1 ounce to each quart, and we're doing a quart. We're gonna go ahead and add our activator now. All right, here we go. Okay, so now we're just mixing it up so there's no different colors. Give it a second. Does it say how long to mix it for? All right, guys, so a bit of a recording fail on my part. My battery died halfway through. The method that I used was I basically got a thin coat down first, and then I came back and drizzled it on top of all the rivets, because the main purpose of this for me was sealing. You can see how it sets up right around the rivet. I wasn't able to get that great coverage on every rivet, but most of them, and especially the back ones, which is where I was having the leaks from. I'm just gonna leave it alone. It's starting to get really tacky, at least a couple of days to dry, but we'll check back later tonight and see how it's looking. All right, guys, well, it's the next day. It's got a nice, good set on it now, despite some bugs that have flown on it last night while it was drying. Came up pretty good. It's rather splotchy. I feel like I stretched it pretty thin doing as far as I did. For the amount that it came with, I think I would have done better stopping it here instead of up here. If I were to do this again, I'd just go with 2 pints. But yeah, overall, I'm really happy with it. The whole boat got a coating. This is definitely gonna provide some slickness when going over logs and things like that. The main purpose of this was to seal the rivets, and I think that it did that fantastically. You can see how it puddled up around all the rivet holes. overall, I'm very happy with it. I would have done more and I would have spread it differently. The foam rollers did not work as great as I expected. I think using a squeegee would probably work better for this stuff, or an absorbent roller. I did a foam roller so it didn't absorb it, but felt like I was having to dig the foam roller into it to literally push it like you would normally do with a squeegee. And that started to like deteriorate the roller. And at some points you can see where there's like bits of the roller that were falling apart. All right, guys, well, it was a successful bottom coating. I learned a lot for spreading epoxy, so for the next time, we'll have some more appropriate tools ready and available. Overall, I'm really happy with it. It already has a nice, hard, slick finish to it, and this is only after about 12 hours or so. I think after a full cure, this is gonna be a really nice, slick bottom. All right, guys, well, if you wanna keep following along with the John Boat build, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next upload, and thanks for watching.